can you please state your name?
Michaele Chavez.
Okay, and where and when were you born?
I was born in Fresno, California, which makes me a native, June 28, 1947.
Did you spend most of your youth there?
No. I think removed by the time I was 3 or 4. My dad entered, well, he had been in the Army, but then he went into the Air Force. But the 3 years we lived there, we lived out in the Great Vineyards in an old barracks with water pumped outside and the outhouse outside. So my early living was organic. And then from there, moved to Alabama. I lived in Texas, Kansas, and back to California eventually.
Okay. Where was your favorite place that you traveled to?
Oh, traveling?
Or lived?
Okay. Well, actually, my favorite place where we traveled was Tokyo, Japan. And I really liked it there. We lived there for about a month. It was vacation in a cottage out in the rice fields and all of that. And the people were so friendly and had a lot of fun.
Where did you graduate? Did you go to high school all at one time, or did you go to multiple different high schools?
Actually, that's the one series of schools I went to in an order, 4 years, and it was here in Fair Oaks, California. We eventually came back, but like I said, we lived in a lot of different places in between. I really liked Kansas when we lived there too. And people very friendly. Alabama was a lot of fun, but it was so different for me because in those days they still had the colored fountains, drinking fountains, and I was just a kid. I could never figure out which one I was supposed to use. But
now, once you graduated high school, did you know what you wanted to do, or what did you do once you graduated?
Well, I worked for a while, and actually I worked out at Mather when they still had employees. But then I decided, and I was going to night school, but I went back to school, and I was lucky enough to get a scholarship, so I went down to UC Santa Barbara, and I wanted to work as an activities advisor with the student government and clubs and all that, and that's what I ended up doing probably for about 15 years.
Now, I know that you had mentioned to me, I believe, that you used to work with computers as well.
Yes.
Now, how did you come into that field?
I used to follow around the guy that would come. I was with the Employment Development Department that would come and work on our computers, and he taught me a lot, and then he retired, and all of a sudden I was given his job. And I really liked computers. I've always liked puzzles, so computers sort of remind me of that, trying to make them work or do different things. And that's what I was doing when I retired. I probably spent another 12 years for EDD on computers, and I used to do the network for the state. I worked on that and used to travel a lot to the offices. I did a lot of computer training, teaching people how to use computers. And I like that.
Now, when you were growing up, how many siblings did you have?
I had a younger brother and sister, and I always remember how they ruined things for me because I was an only child for 6 years, and all of a sudden I had 2 siblings.
Was it hard for all 3 of you to keep relationships with the people that you had made friends with while you lived in certain states?
Yes. Matter of fact, I was talking to someone the other day about that. You hear every now and then, oh, we've been friends since elementary school or this or that. And I don't have friends like that, especially because I was young and we would move a lot. I went to 12 different schools. And like I say, we would move a lot. And at that age, you're not really into writing and keeping in touch. And that's part of the military life. I really regret that I don't have those sort of bonds with people.
Now, if you had to pass on some words of advice or wisdom to, your nieces or nephews or future generations, what would you tell them?
Get involved. Whatever it is, make sure it's something you enjoy, but get involved. Give your time. Sort of, don't worry about yourself, because it all comes together. And if you're involved with others, for me, that became my family. You talk about different sites or different places, but eventually it could be just 6 months, but if you get involved, it becomes family for you.
Now, we're all wondering, and I know you've answered this question before, why blue hair?
Well, blue was my favorite color. And actually, I was at a customer service workshop, a bunch of us that worked on the computers, and it was downtown Sacramento, watching all these different color heads go by. And we were sort of talking, ooh, look at, people, ooh, look at that. And I turned to them and said, I'd like to have blue hair. And so I think on some level it was sort of a dare that I put out. But once I started doing it, I just really like it. I've had it probably about 12 years now. And it breaks the conversation, but it just makes me feel good, and I feel happy. And it's funny because even my doctors noticed, and they'll go, oh, it's getting a little light. You better make it bluer.
Is there any other thing or stories you'd like to add? Any funny incidences maybe that you had in your life?
Probably about every town we ever lived in. Well, the funny thing is the first time we went to Japan, and like I said, vacation, and we'd been in Hawaii for a couple weeks, and then went on to Tokyo, and we flew in, and very modern city, and I'm expecting to see all the pagodas and all that sort of stuff. And we went into a department store, and I looked up, and there must have been a 30-foot tall Easter bunny. And I think of all places, the religion, the Buddhism, and all of that, they had commercial, and it was right before Easter. And like I say, I did not expect to see a giant Easter bunny. Expect to see a giant Easter bunny there. And that was funny, because it really reminded me we're all the same. Just I just wanted to clarify my name, because people don't know. I'm actually named after a great aunt, my grandfather's aunt, and it's Michaele, which, when I can, I really like to go by that, because, again, the heritage. I've been to Mexico. My parents, I'm a first-generation Californian, and my parents and grandparents all are from Mexico, and I like the culture. I like being part of that, and I like sharing that with others.